Not too long ago, we analyzed the best quality price laptop of 2023 on the channel, but MSI has just launched its replacement. A new variant that comes with all the latest 13th generation Intel processor, RTX 4000 graphics, DDR5 RAM, and most importantly, this time it does have RGB. As we saw in the video of the desktop PC versus laptop, currently laptops are very close to desktops in performance, and they also give you the extra portability that always comes in handy. For these reasons, I bring you the new MSI Katana 15 2024 that has top hardware for a price that is already super good. Be careful because MSI also maintains the Katana laptops from previous generations in the portable market that have now dropped even more in price, making them even more interesting for you. In today's video, thanks to MSI who makes us go from a laptop, we are going to analyze the latest model and compare it with previous versions to see which one is more worth it and which one you should buy. But if you are already subscribed to the channel, you are supporting the content a lot, and we are getting closer to that goal of 1,000 subscribers. To support the hours and hours of work that these videos take, it is extremely helpful to simply leave your likes and subscribe. With that alone, the channel already has an enormous boost that you don't know what it shows. MSI has been leading the gaming laptop sector for years, and with this model, they further raised the level of its predecessor, which, as I told you, seemed and still seems to me to be the best laptop on the market, possibly in its price range. You will see it later when we compare different laptops available on the market, since despite having previous generation components, the price difference is so great that for many people it may not be worth paying the extra cost for the extra performance that you get from the new model. In this new model, MSI has changed the nomenclature, and now we have a complete line of laptops called Katana 15 and Katana 17. The numbers correspond to the size of the panel, which is 15.6 with full HD resolution in the first case, and 17, 3 inches with full HD resolution in the second. Being laptops focused on gaming, these Katana laptops have IPS walls with 144 Hz as a refresh rate. What do these features mean? What would be the differences with other types of panels? Visit this video to become an absolute expert on the subject. The screen has a minimum and maximum brightness that is quite good, and the resolution also seems appropriate to optimize the battery when you have to use the laptop outside the home. I say this because most gamers will be connecting the laptop to a monitor when gaming at home, and in that scenario, there would be no extra benefit to having a higher resolution on the laptop panel. Furthermore, in full HD panels on laptops, the number of pixels per inch and consequently the definition is still higher when compared. A panel with 2K or 2560 by 1440p resolution. In a 27-inch monitor, we are talking about 144 and 108 pixels per inch, respectively. A 30% increase in favor of the 15.6-inch laptop with full HD resolution. The laptop tested today is possibly one of the most balanced in the Katana range. It has an i7 13620H processor, the latest generation from Intel with 6 high-performance cores and 12 threads and 4 extra high-efficiency cores to save energy in low-stress situations when we have the laptop unplugged. With the processor, we have 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM with frequencies of 5200 MHz and in 2 modules so that the dual channel can be taken advantage of. DDR5 is not as relevant to dual channels as we saw in these tests, so visit the video to discover what differences there would be. The graphics, for its part, is the latest that NVIDIA has released an 8GB RTX 4060, a graphic that has gone unnoticed for being even worse than the 3060. In some key characteristics, such as the number of cores or certain aspects of memory, it comes with the addition of DLSS 3.5 exclusive for these RTX 4000 as the main selling point, something that is quite dangerous, and we will see if it is enough of an argument or not when we compare it to the laptop with the RTX 3060 that we tested a few months ago. Finally, MSI once again more than delivers in the storage section, since the 1TB NVMe SSD that this unit has given us fantastic results at speeds of over 4,500 megabytes per second for reading and 3,500 megabytes per second for writing. You don't need more than this to have a laptop that has instant charging times. Other features, such as the battery, have not been changed, so maintaining those 3 cells and 53 watt-hours of the previous model in the battery is not a very strong point in this laptop by any means, but taking into account that this type of laptops are designed to be kept still and plugged into a desk, it is not the most important feature either. If you play without being plugged in, the laptop will go from 100% to 0% battery in less than an hour. while in more combined use, watching videos, for example, it will still arrive to 4 hours by activating battery saving. In terms of connections, we are not doing badly at all, although it does not follow the latest standards that are faster. We have two first-generation USB 3.2 Type-A, a USB 2.0 Type-A, one 4 USB 3.2 Type-C, an HDMI 2.1 port supporting image transfer up to 8K at 60 Hz. The 3.5mm jack connector for audio, the charging port, and an Ethernet connector that can be key for some people, especially for those looking for the best connectivity and the least possible lag. Anyway, I think you are going to need a USB hub no matter what, so I will leave you the link to the hub that I use. It is very cheap and gives you the option of connecting many peripherals in a super comfortable way. But be careful, because if you are more into connecting wireless peripherals, keep in mind that the laptop is also compatible with Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.2, so you can have a wireless keyboard as well as wireless headphones, and that is actually quite comfortable. The keyboard integrated into the laptop is membrane and has RGB backlighting. An evolution with respect to the previous model, I found it to be a very good keyboard considering that it is a membrane keyboard, and because it is integrated into a fairly thin laptop, a fact that greatly limits the possibilities of a keyboard. A numeric keypad is also integrated, something that could be useful in addition to the trackpad, as is common in all laptops. The main reason for having this laptop fixed, of course, is none other than its weight, which remains at 2.95 kilos. It is not the heaviest laptop on the market by any means, since there are models from MSI itself that weigh much more, but it is starting to be annoying to walk back and forth with it at all times. If you plan to move it a lot, an Ultrabook that weighs half as much would be greatly appreciated, and that is what I would buy. But let's get to the interesting part. How many FPS can you expect this laptop to get in different games? I have done all these tests using the laptop itself without external screens and only with the mouse connected. Let's start with Fortnite. I have the qualities in low FX filter activated and viewing distance and detail that are in epic with full HD resolution. The laptop averages around 150 FPS, so the laptop's 144 Hz panel is very important to take advantage of all the performance that the laptop offers us. Additionally, we must keep in mind that these results are obtained while the game is being recorded, so you could expect even more FPS if you are not going to be recording while you play. If we compare this result with the previous generation laptop that had an i5 12450H and the RTX 3060, we see an approximate increase of 15% in the average FPS in favor of the new model. Battlefield 5 is also going great. In this laptop, we maintain full HD resolution and raise the quality to the predefined high preset. With this configuration, the FPS number goes up to 120-140 FPS depending on the area and the map. This result is brutal considering that we are in Rotterdam in this test, one of the most demanding maps. In the previous generation laptop, something that draws a lot of attention. The average stayed at 75 FPS. We are talking about a brutal increase of around 80%. The difference is extremely striking, and I assure you that the graphic configuration is exactly the same. But in the previous generation, we saw how the processor caused a notable bottleneck in this very demanding map for the CPU. Having jumped to a new generation, i7 is what gives us the advantage. In this case, instead of having jumped from an RTX 3060 to an RTX 4060. The integrated GTA benchmark is also a very good test to compare this laptop with the previous one on equal terms. The FPS number remains above 100 at all times, with high quality and full HD resolution. The final average of 144 FPS is altered by the black sections between the different scenes in which the FPS counter goes up a lot. Seeing that on the previous laptop with the 3060, this average was 125 FPS. We once again have an approximate improvement of 15% in the new model. A much more demanding game would be Cyberpunk 2077, and here the laptop continues to perform luxuriously. Be careful, just like in GTA, we keep the preset high and the resolution at 1080p, something that I didn't think was possible in this game. With this configuration, the average is very close to 75 FPS, and a respectable minimum of 56 FPS. And be careful, because by activating the Ray Tracing Ultra mode with 1080p resolution and with DLSS activated in its auto setting, we reach 80 FPS on average, and this is the magic of DLSS. It allows you to activate ray tracing, improving image quality, and also allows you to increase the average FPS in the process, something that is absolutely incredible. In this game, we once again see a substantial performance increase of 25%, since with the previous laptop, an average of 58 FPS had been achieved, and in this model, without ray tracing or DLSS, we have reached 73. Let's finally test this laptop in Howard Legacy, the game that all Harry Potter fans have been waiting for. In this case, we set medium qualities and the resolution at 1080p. A fairly conservative configuration for this laptop, but necessary to see the progress compared to the previous model. We reached 75 FPS on average in the Hogsmeade area, which again represents an increase of 25% compared to the previous generation. In this game, it would also be advisable to possibly raise the qualities and activate DLSS, since it is worth enjoying graphics as spectacular as the ones this game has. Seeing all this, it is indisputable that this new MSI Katana 15 performs super well, being more than enough for most players. But be careful, because it also has a price according to the components and extras it has. And taking this into account, it is really the best laptop on the market in terms of quality and price. That statement is more complicated, and although it depends on each individual, I do not think that the generational leap justifies a too large increase in price. Looking at the previous model that we tested a few months ago on the channel that had an i5 and an RTX 3060, we have seen that the performance difference is around 15–25% in most gaming situations. In exchange, the price difference is $400. It is also true that the i5 from the previous generation fell somewhat short in certain scenarios, and that is why it would be fairer to also compare the previous generation with an i7. Take this detail into account, especially if you usually play CPU-demanding games, as we have seen with Battlefield 5. In short, this is a laptop that for less than $1,450 gives you super top hardware, which on a desktop would already cost you about $1,000, but adds a keyboard and a 144Hz IPS screen in addition to giving you the ergonomics and portability of a laptop. Is it more worth it than the cheaper options of the previous generation? This depends on each one. If you want a laptop that will last as long as possible, I would say yes, since it has super top components that should last you for years without problem. But tell me, did you like this laptop? What are the characteristics that have convinced you the most? Would you prefer this laptop over a desktop PC? Leave me your comments so we can discuss it, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.